Good morning, Joe Neighbour here, going through some FX charts with you all today in what can be a really important day for markets, particularly the US dollar and some of the US indices, because later on today we have the US CPI number, which is the latest read on inflation, which will obviously be very well watched because it's been a really important topic of conversation of late. Bundled in with that as well, we do have the latest ECB rate decision, which is due out at 12:45. We then have that followed up with a press conference at 1:30, and they'll be looking out for signs, again, talking about inflation in Europe and whether or not there'll be any tapering of the bond buying program that's been going on for a number of months to support the economy. So lots to potentially keep an eye out for today, potentially some increase in volatility as a result of that, which is something that's been lacking quite a bit in the last few weeks or so. So first up, going to take a look at dollar index, and in front of you now I've got the daily chart. So just quickly diving into this, as you can see, price has been trading in a long-term downtrend with the dollar index, which is no surprise to anybody that's been following these markets. In the more shorter term, we can see the price has been trapped within this sort of bearish channel. And last week we did actually see a breakout to the upside of this channel with an open outside of the channel for the first time since the channel sort of began to form, which was back in April. And on the 3rd of June we saw an open outside of that and a really impulsive move to the upside. But we did see sellers step back in. So there was no follow through to the upside, and prices continue to find support between this region between 89.69 to 8900. Yesterday we saw a pattern or a candlestick pattern of a hammer take shape, which is quite bullish, and we've seen that backed up today with further gains. We're up by 0.1% at the moment. Again, all could change later on today because there are some really important numbers out to keep an eye out for. How does that look in terms of the euro dollar? Well, if we flip the dollar index chart on its head, it will look something similar to this. We've got the break of the channel that we just mentioned on the dollar index chart. Really impulsive moves to the downside, but again, we saw the buyers step back in and take price higher. Yesterday, we saw the posting of a shooting star type candle and seen followed through to the downside today. My main concern with regards to the dollar index is that we are potentially forming some sort of top pattern, which I've sort of insinuated over the last few weeks or so when I've done these videos previously, which potentially could look something like this. This is a head and shoulders top or a potential head and shoulders top. In order to complete that pattern, it needs to break the neckline, which will be down here somewhere around about 1.1800. But in the very short term, the level that I'll be watching is this low here at 2103. That was a low posted here on the 4th of January. If we take that out on the downside, then we may see a continuation lower in the very short term. So that's a key level to watch from me today. On the upside, if we can break above these highs that we posted on the 25th of May, which come in at 122.66, then we're looking for a continuation higher to the next level of resistance, which is up at 123.50. Now, aside from those two markets, I think cable looks quite interesting. In recent weeks, it's been performing very nicely indeed, trading in a really nice uptrend, as you can see on the chart and highlighted by this black trend support line. And obviously we've seen a lot of dollar weakness as well, which has certainly helped. But price has stalled into this big resistance level here at 142.41. We posted this bearish outside candle on the 1st of June, which is not a particularly great sign. And since then we have seen continued weakness. Now the level I'm really interested in is this 139.85 level, and that's because we actually created a gap here between the 7th of May and the 10th of May, which needs to be filled. Often gaps do get filled, so I'll be looking for a move down to that kind of level. And on a confluence basis, it also marries up really nicely with this uptrend line. So looking for a retest of this level at 139.87-ish to potentially initiate new longs. Overall, the trend remains in good shape, so I think there is potential for further upside here, and therefore I'd be looking to buy around about 139.87, targeting a move back up to those highs at 142.41. If we can break above those highs that we posted on the 1st of June, then we'd be looking for an extension of that move to the upside to around about 143.75. So that pretty much wraps it up in terms of FX today and what I'm looking at and where I think the key sort of battlegrounds are taking place and where we could see some increase in volatility. Hopefully that's given you a reasonable insight into how to set up your trades in the coming days. As I say, do be wary of these numbers that are due out today, starting at 12:45 with the ECB rate decision. Then at 1:30 we've got this cluster of information which include the press conference and more importantly the US CPI data as well as US jobless claims. So good luck if you're trading today. I'll be back next week, and until then, trade safe. All the best.